Well, Scott is going to have a lot of love here to share. This is Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing. Thanks so much for watching this. We're going to go in depth with the interview today on if you're a mortgage professional, how to get the most out of your time with us. So we're known here at Vyral Marketing for helping you use video to stay in touch with your database and your contacts. So you positioned as an expert and people seek you out for your expertise because you're the de facto guy or gal based upon your marketing. But most of our clients at Vyral are real estate professionals. There's no secret about it. You can go through our website and find having a lot of real estate agents. And I've always wondered, my goodness, there's more money in mortgage, generally speaking, especially as you move up the chain, than in real estate. And all you have to do instead of having to risk all this money, this is in my opinion, going out and marketing and spending money on lead generation, all these things real estate professionals do. I mean, mortgage, you got it great. You could build relationships with a few key real estate professionals that can send you long-term business where you're more like an account manager as opposed to having to find new business all the time. And Vyral Marketing is actually a better tool for that, to build client building, right? That it is. It's actually a better tool for more of a client building approach than maybe just kind of let's just mail, thousands of people we have on our list that have like opted in randomly on our website we've never spoken with, which the product can be used that way. Anyways, what I'm getting at is if you're a mortgage professional, I really want you to pay attention to this interview because this can change your life because no one's doing it in mortgage. Lots of real estate professionals are doing it. It's almost common now, real estate professionals are using video, but not in mortgage, huh, Scott?
No, not yet. And like you said, you find a lot of realtors out there using this tool of getting their self known out in market space. But as for the industry, I don't know why. I think maybe because on the surface, it feels a little overwhelming. What will I talk about? What will I say? What will I look like? What will I sound like? I didn't do it before. I'm not comfortable in doing it. I'm really not that person. I like doing this because I'm behind the phone, getting data, inputting it into a computer and writing it on a tablet. I'm not necessarily somebody who's right in front of a camera, putting myself on display.
Yeah.
I think for our industry, there's other ways to find success in it and not be that bold person. So it's easy to live behind that fear because you can kind of design yourself around there and find yourself, I've learned, stuck from great levels of growth. I can't wait to share with you. I started off with, I have a lot of love to share. I meant it. And well, in fact, it was another fellow gentleman and a colleague of industry, Patrick Fitzgerald, that shared his success and his company's own growth of working alongside with you and your team. And what he shared is that it gave him a chance. He likes to focus on VA lending. He's an expert, I believe one of the largest lenders in Texas, representing the VA world, at least one of the bigger boys in town, because he decided to give a hyper focus to that section. And he did it because he found that there wasn't enough education. And what I loved about Patrick's videos is there was nothing really for sale as much as there was information getting shared to inspire you to believe you had the right to access that new home through what you didn't know in the befores. Patrick spent the time to make the video. And what stood out for me when Patrick shared about working with the team at Vyral was how he was guided, how easy that he wasn't alone. It wasn't him all by himself in a camera. There was a partner sitting alongside him, kind of like you and I sitting alongside each other in the right nows. And the camera was busy doing the recordings and the partner was there doing the supporting. And because of that, a new level of confidence and comfort was getting captured through the camera. And then he showed a few of these video messages and shared the stories of how he was communicating with partners that didn't know he was out there before, that the videos were getting shared and he was invited. Yeah, there they are. There's my friend. That's who I'm speaking of. And he demonstrated this. And what else he said, and may I please, I guess I've known for a while that it's been highly valuable to do what you just demonstrated he did with your help, but I didn't do it yet because I didn't know how. So I got stuck in my own obstacles of not knowing how, and what I was so grateful for was that Patrick was willing to be completely transparent in his how. How did he just show us, how did that happen? Because I think you're a mortgage expert, not a technology, media, that person expert, but that looks expert level of what I'm witnessing. How did you get that to happen? How did you get that fixed? And he shared you. He shared that it was viral marketing that invited that to happen. And so I just love that. I love that you had the opportunity to support his practice so he could share his story. And I found myself available for that story because of his sharing. And I'll never forget my first call to your office. It was the beginning of a change that I had no idea could be this impactful for my own business.
Wow. Well, that's a pretty strong endorsement. Thank you, Scott.
Well,
tell me just really quickly, tell me just at the beginning of the interview, what has this done for you? And then we'll get into maybe some of the details of how you did it so we can teach some people stuff. But what have you seen now in your business after spending the time and resources on doing the viral marketing plan?
So it's so interesting, if I may. I signed up with Viral Marketing. It was in December that year. I think we've been together, you and I, a little bit over a year. I don't know how long it's been. It's been about a year now, I believe. We've been together about celebrating a year anniversary. So I really have a way to measure before we said hello and my fresh version of what I am at today, and how we played a big role together in inviting the version of the todays. Here's what I discovered. So I signed up in December. I hadn't yet made any videos. It was now tickling February. And I made the commitment. I signed the document. I paid the monies. And I committed to be consistent in video marketing, knowing I'd had great results doing it. But come by February, I hadn't done one yet at all. And do you know what I love about you and your team? Do you know what they shared with me? They said that they would be able to have me come into Nebraska, and that if I flew into Nebraska, they would help film me, and we would sit physically in person. So if I didn't get the confidence and comfort to do it from my work home computer, that I could have an in-person experience, that I was made to feel like a VIP that day. Boy, did they have it so well together. I felt so confident, never doing this ever in the before, and your team had everything all set up, the cameras, the lighting, the room reserved, the setting, and inspiration and passion. It was all present, and the camera was there to capture it. And I found myself doing it. I've learned this. I've learned that it helps to get uncomfortable. That in the uncomfortable, change is invited because you're probably doing something you weren't doing in the befores. And something new gets invited to happen next because of that uncomfortable before. It was that spirit that showed up with me in all my luggage. I had all these outfits to put on because I knew today was camera day and I had never done this and don't know any expectations. And you know what I discovered? The words showed up. They became available. I believe that I was there for a reason to do something great, and we captured it. And then the magic began with you and your team. And I mean magic correctly, because it's one thing, isn't it? It's one thing to capture a moment on a camera. It's another way to take that captured moment, prepare it in a story in such a way that others would be interested in listening to it more. So it wasn't just the story and the words I shared that made that video marketing so successful for us. It was what you and your team did with that. And what I loved about it is that it created text. You took my words and turned it into valuable connective text languaging. And because I was the original author on every single one of those videos, I had self-created content now available on the internet. Do you know that I show up now organically on page 1 of Google when you Google search Los Angeles mortgage broker? Talk about a competitive market space. I don't think I'm there by accident. I think it helps to have valuable content available to share with others. And you and your team not only inspired me, I like to think of you as my media coach. Because on my own, I wasn't creating the media myself. But with you and the team, I created an abundance of videos that are on reserve, waiting to be published. I have enough content taking me through May of this year,
Yeah, you
allowing
really do.
me to be successful. So I want you to know, keep going. If you're looking up Los Angeles, there I am, page 1 of Google. Interesting place, huh, to be. And I have a feeling it's because people are interested in knowing who we are, because we know they know we're out here. I think it's so easy to be so awesome and cool. There's a lot of us who share that commonality. I think the part that kind of lacks is letting the world know we're here to enjoy it with them. So the viral marketing for us has been an opportunity for me to stay connected to prospects as well as new partners I may not even have said hello to yet. It's a cool way to become comfortably familiar.
Comfortably familiar. I like that. That's true.
It
Yeah,
really,
the
and you know what I
relationship
love
starts
about our
online, they take it
industry?
offline.
Yeah, Frank, our industry has so much change living inside of it. Whatever you understood before has most likely been rewritten through Dodd-Frank or some other type of form and change. Heck, we had the secondary market reopening, talking about a changing lending environment, inviting new versions of yeses. What a great time to get on your own stage and let folks know about it. Let them visualize their version of home ownership. But I don't ever remember growing up in school where any of us were taught how to do mortgage lending to finance real estate purchases. So I think we just walk around in life what we don't understand, and that's what we understand. And we just think that you need a bold down payment and you have to be the color of perfect, or they're not going to give it to you. And in fact, that's not what 2020 invites at all. It's a market full of opportunity. It's a year of solution-based lending. There's opportunities to speak to people we couldn't in the befores. I love where we're heading. I love where we're at. And I think that if we don't get on video, we'll become irrelevant. And I think that technology moves faster than we might believe. And I think that there's people creating solutions to invite different levels of convenience that people might want access to. And so I think in a service industry like we're in, the more valuable we are in sharing information that will inspire others to make different choices is a place we should stand from. Otherwise, it's much easier to ask Siri a question. I mean, if you really ask me, I probably don't want to talk to you about my income and assets and all the other private things in life you're most likely going to ask me about. The computer lets me click buttons and I don't have to speak to you about it. That feels a little safer to me. So I think by having viral marketing and being online often invites new conversations, new inspirations, and you become their expert. And I think once you earn that story, I don't think they'd ever think about financing a home or most likely buying real estate without your assistance. But otherwise, I think these other technology gurus in life are going to find smarter, better ways to get to these people before you and I are ever introduced, so that we may never get a chance to say hi to them. So why not engage people where they live? And we live on phones. And what I love about viral marketing's videos that we create together is that they display so elegantly on the phone. And it's so easy to literally just watch, touch, and listen and share. And you know what's super cool though? The really, 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 really cool part? It didn't make me have to do much of anything. I signed the contract, I paid the money, I committed to the doing, and then you took over from there, just as you promised you would. And you did. And you made me look spectacular. And so I thank you so much for helping me make a presence in such a competitive city, such as Los Angeles, where there are millions of us living here trying to make a successful life happen. You've allowed me to stand on a stage of remembrance. And because I'm consistently committed to video marketing, I'm remembered more often than not. And I can't seem to run out of things to talk about because there's so many things we don't know about. So I love the channel you open up. I think of you like my little network distributor channel, and you're my production company and a support friend, and I just love it. Our business has doubled. I guess that was the original question. I got
Yeah,
lost.
your business is
My
doubled.
friend, you want to know what I mean by doubled? So here I was filling out my renewal documents for one of our investors. It was in June. It was tickling the beginning of June. And in there, it asks you your year-to-date figures from the year last 12 months of the closing, and then where you are year-to-date. And what tickled me so much is that when I looked at my year-to-date information in June, it was already bolder than the entire year of the befores. A lot of that, I believe, happened through a lot of reasons, one of which was committing to the uncomfortable exposure to the camera, video, microphone lighting, and doing the things I wasn't doing before to make myself more present, more available for others. And I would suggest viral marketing played an incredible part of how we opened up 2020. In fact, I just spoke to a buyer the other day based on a video that released that was focusing on how do we buy a second home or vacation home without any out-of-pocket money. What an interesting thought to sit with. Well, that video inspired him to go out and look, and guess who just got an accepted offer? He did. On what? A second home. And why? Because he watched the viral video you helped me to create on my second Nebraska visit. So I've had two. Now, here I live in LA. I'm right here in Hollywood. CBS Studios is literally right out my window. And who the heck flies to Nebraska to do a video filming? My goodness. I'm in Hollywood where videos happen. Well, Scott Griffin goes to Nebraska. You know why? I've learned that it helps to step past that uncomfortable moment. And I've learned that it helps not to be alone. So to know that you had a team there on standby to guide me through the uncomfortable is why I showed up. And you know what's so super cool? You know what I've learned? That through self-belief, you'll probably do things you wouldn't do otherwise. And so that's how I landed in Nebraska in the snow in February. And I think it was a Tuesday night because filming was Wednesday. And I had never been as an adult to Nebraska. And I get into the hotel check-in. And do you know what they say to me? They say to me, "Oh, are you here for the Elton John concert?" The what? That evening, Tuesday, was Elton John 2 blocks away from the hotel I was staying at. So guess who got to enjoy an Elton John concert on a Tuesday night in Omaha, Nebraska?
Cool.
And then going to video recording the next morning. That's what happens when you believe and you step into uncomfortable. Super cool things are invited. So that's what I've discovered. And I'm not going to slow down. I love the confidence that wasn't there at the beginning, that more and more of those videos released showed my authenticity. And all of the words shared were just my words. Nothing was scripted, even though I know you offer scripting assistance. Here's what I've learned. We already know what to talk about. We do it every day already. It's somehow when the camera shows up, the words go away. If we get comfortably confident, I have a feeling the words will show up when the topic is designed. So in my video productions with you and your team, topic design really guided what it is we talked about. And then you'd have to kind of crunch that into a 3-minute or shorter 2-minute moment. And you know what I've discovered? The words are there. They need a moment to show up, and they will if you just will allow them. And I don't think it's comfortable always. And what I loved about that moment is that it was contained. It was in an office. It was in a conference room setting that had a gorgeous background that looked so fabulous in the backdrop. But it was just us. We weren't in a studio audience. There were no mistakes available. You were just busy doing. And I think it helps. So if you're finding yourself stuck in the idea of I've not done it before, I'm not comfortable in the camera, I don't look good, I don't sound well, I don't this, I don't that, that's just a story you're telling yourself. Invite a new story. Here's a new story. The new story is that whatever it is you know about, I bet they don't. And I bet if they only did, they'd get access to new opportunities. Well, I bet you might even represent some of those opportunities. Just share your education. And not one of my videos, not a bloody one, has something for sale. You know what I've learned? We move through life through invitations. Invite life to happen. Show up, let people know, and find a coach. Get a friend. Now, I know you're like a production company and a wizardry at making us look spectacular through different methodologies, but I might even suggest there's a coach living in there too. A marketing coach, a friend, somebody to guide us through this wonderful world of technology so we show up on their front page. Your team, you know what else I love also? Oh my gosh. You know, it's one thing, isn't it? When somebody tells you there's something for sale and you can buy it and you'll meet my support team and they'll onboard you, and then you get onboarded, and what does the company do? Oh, that's right. They keep collecting your check every month, whether you're using the product or not. Do you know kind of how I landed there in February? Is because your team made sure I used the product. You reached out to me, you kept following up to make sure I wasn't alone. You knew I was uncomfortable. You knew there was something I didn't do before that would only get supported further if there was a friend. And what I loved about what happened together with you and the team was a friend found. And this friend was to guide me through something I wasn't doing before so that I'd be more successful quickly. Hey, I want to share another thing with you, if I may, please. So here's Patrick sharing his stories with full transparency. Is why I knew you existed. It was his transparency that allowed me to learn. And somebody else also at that meeting, there was a big group of us, big players of industry, and somebody said, well, you don't need that. You can do your own recordings yourself, type out the words yourself, and post them yourself. Why would you pay somebody to do what you can do? And well, those are words I bet that probably stop you from doing anything at all. Something tells me that that person that shared those words with me, and I'm going to check after we're done visiting to see if he's anywhere on the internet at all. Something tells me they're not doing it. Here's what I've learned. It's not so simple. What I've learned is that you make it look and feel simple, but it's so elegant. It's so enriched. It's coded. It's designed. It has music. It has flow. It has purpose. It has edits. It has sections. It has things that I would not know how to do organically. What I'm going to do is ship that off to a stranger that doesn't know my intent of what his full goal is to become. What I love about your family is that, Frank, it's the magic that happens in the background that I suggest happens at pennies on the dollar. I do not believe that we could go out and find our own production company at the cost that you provide to us to look so magnificent in the videos that we help to prepare. And you type out all of the data, you grab snippets of it, you paste it in different color blockings, you're purposeful of where you put lead capture moments. You're highly purposeful. Nothing looks like it's a mistake at all, but invitable design. And because of it, I get a lot of activity from it. I get a lot of phone calls. I get emails. You can go on my Facebook page. Almost every video that goes out gets at least 3,000 views now. When I started, I had 0 views because I had 0 videos. Those were people that saw me that didn't see me in the befores. And how many commercials do you and I have to see in life to remember that brand? I think it's repetitive. So if we're consistent, we get remembered more. My 2020 vision and goal is to do a lot more of what I began in 2019. I know my success will live further enriched through media work. So I intend to do a lot more together in 2020, Frank, because I know the rewards of our work together is so powerful. I don't even know how to attach the exact dollar to it, because it's the imprints you leave behind that get shared in story, that does a video sharing. And a whole bunch of things happen. And what I love is that it's a recorded event, so it can get shared later at 2 in the morning when I'm asleep. It's always available to help represent who I am and who my brand is. So it's not just a dead website, it's actual video. So they can get a flavor of who is this company, who's this Scott person that I think I should get a mortgage through. Why would I do something like that? Oh, there's a little video here. Let me look. You start looking, and the more you look, the more you're invited to feel consistently committed to working together. And that happens because of the work we did together. I wouldn't have this story to share with you today if it weren't for Patrick Fitzgerald sharing his with me first. It's my self-desired obligation to share my story with you to move other people's successes forward through the work that you're up to. You and your team are top-notch professionals. The follow-up is like nothing I've seen. Courtney on your team, Riley on your team, heck, any name I try to present that lives on your team, Bree, they're just somebody you and I would call wonderfully, passionately connected to how they're showing up to represent our best interests so that we look dramatically awesome out there on camera, sharing the news of what it is we do. And I have a feeling that new friends coming into your world will have their own versions of their stories to share with others. But I have a feeling it starts with the flavor of success.
God, this is pretty sweet. Thank you. I want to share something with you because this is something we're pretty strong at Vyral. It's called our pledge. It's on our website. It's the culture that we run. Let me just get your feedback on what would you say about some of these statements? Any specific stories you can share?
My coach gets me excited to make my appointments. Well, isn't that the truth? Right there, didn't I kind of start this visit? And here was the visit part that answers that piece as being very real. I was signed up, well, originally, and I sat there for weeks with nothing done yet. And I got a personal phone call, a couple of them. But I remember them coming from Bree. They were all invitations of how we could get started with just the first one. And that we would use the first one as the test to get comfortable with the equipment. And guess who still wasn't doing it? But she didn't leave me alone. And it's not that she badgered me, it's quite the opposite. It was, I believe that your story is valuable, that sharing it with others will not only help them, but will help you also. I'll be here with you. Come to Nebraska. We'll do it together. And we won't be alone. And well, that's why I kind of said, I don't know how to title the company. Are you the marketing experts? Are you technology experts at delivering great media content? Are you producers of that? Are you everything that allowed me to be remembered in a way that I couldn't have been if you didn't bring the tools of your team together to create one master talent ability, hyper-focused at getting us in service of real estate as stage to stand on, to share a story with others so that we're remembered differently, so that we stay relevant. I have a feeling that those of us in industry who stay relevant will get a chance to be remembered and worked with. And if we don't, well, we'll have a chance to get replaced with somebody who's more able to say hi to that client before we did. And they're trying to find ways every second of every moment to do that. So I just say, get into this opportunity of self-belief. Don't do it alone. It may not work as quickly. It may not serve you the same. I've learned in life that impressions matter. And those that are looking at something are creating their own impressions at what it is they're looking at. And if I believe they look at something that feels professional, looks professional, well, you don't need to tell them how professional you are. They're already going to believe you are because their interpretations have guided them into that self-belief. And what I love about your team is that you build that into the design up front. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for helping me to do the things I didn't know how to do on my own and I wasn't doing in the befores. And I got stuck. And when I got unstuck, well, you just saw beautiful things are happening and they're not slowing down. It's fantastic.
Scott, this is a wonderful interview, man. You know, I was originally going to put this interview up on kind of an in-depth interview on how someone gets results. of specific tactics. And I was like, no, I'm not. I teach at Vyral. Culturally, you have like the doing. Let me rephrase. Quality work is not quality service. So we could do quality work, but that's almost a commodity. You know what I mean? So we try to have quality service. People will come to us for our quality of work. I want the ROI. I need to stay in touch with my database. I get it. Financial transaction, right? They're going to stay around because of the quality of service. So it's almost like two tabs on the website. People will come to us because of the results. And originally this interview was going to go in the direction of, hey, look at all this money everyone's making and how they're doing it. We didn't talk about any of that today.
No.
What we talked about was what I actually have less of and what I want more of is this, why you love working with us. You spent the entire time today sharing this, and I think I'm going to put your video right here on this page of you're just a perfect example of someone who's
oh my gosh, I just read more of it as it went through, and Frank, my God, now how did you go into my mind to find the word scripting to have this available in the right now? Are you running magic over there? I knew you have magic. Good God.
Well, read a few of these.
That's exactly it. My coach encouraged me to work through my fears or self-doubt. We just spoke on that. My coach inspires me to, yes, they do. My coach makes me confident. We talked of that. My coach deeply cares about me without question. It's so real. I love that we're using the word coach because that's what they are to me. I feel like I have a coach. I'm not here to do it alone. I love that every sentence begins with two words, my coach. What a great way to begin all of these sentences. Those words invite you and I to advance much faster in life because it invites thoughts that we're not self-creating when we have a coach. And I was crystal clear, I wasn't doing it yet. I needed a media coach. Frank, thank you so much for creating a team all the way out in Nebraska, my goodness, to be my coach here in Los Angeles. How fun am I doing something so bizarrely different than before, and great things are happening because of it. So I don't know what inspired you to create these ideas from the beginning, other than to say, I'm such a huge fan of your why. Thank you so much for your own inspirations. Because of you, this team is available to help folks like us. Otherwise, we're just repeating yesterday, and that was when we weren't doing this. So thank you, my friend, for believing you should have this available. Your service to me is priceless. I would call it free. I'm absolutely confident whatever I've invested has come back to me. It's like standing in front of the vending machine, the magic one, you know, the one with the unicorn next to it, that you put the $10 in and you get the 25 back. You put the 10 in and you get the 25. Well, I'm not leaving this machine nowhere. Nobody can get around me because the thing's spending out much more than 25. And I say working with you and your team has invited a new level of my presence in my local market space that most of us are trying to own. The bandwidth is tight. LA is ridiculously competitive. It's hard to be seen out here. It's very noisy. The city's very active. And so through your path and your confidence through your coaching, you've given me the ability to be present and find a presence. And I'm a huge fan.
I was thinking about what I want to name this. How Scott finally felt comfortable to double his mortgage business with video in extremely competitive Los Angeles.
I like it.
You know, felt comfortable. It sounds like we got you comfortable, man, didn't we?
Oh, 100%. You know what I've learned? It's only the first time. Once you get past the first time, you learn it was okay. You know what it is? Here's what I've learned. Just look at the camera as a friend. I say that on purpose because I remember in the befores, it was after the mortgage meltdown, I was invited to go to Florida, and I went to Florida, and I was asked to be a host of something, and I got in front of the camera, and I froze like a deer in headlights. And I didn't get past that because you know what was missing? A coach. I wasn't with the coach, and I was never asked to get in the camera in the past. So I was doing something, I was too much in my mind thinking, how do I look? How do I sound? You know what else I've embraced? I've embraced tools like BombBomb. I'm embracing video as a whole. And here's what I've learned. Don't edit. Just give them you. And if you have some boo-boos and some fun, leave it there. It lets people know you're human. You're not a robot. I have a feeling that we're more connected with authenticity when people are willing to be authentic with themselves. And I think that the camera is really just the path to speak to your friend. And if you can visualize that in your mind, that all this thing is a friend, it's the path to finding my friend, like we're visiting each other, is exactly what I mean, a friend, and we're able to see each other and enjoy a visit. Well, that's all the camera's doing. That story allowed me to be available to be more authentic, to get out of the story of how am I looking, how am I sounding, what will I say. When I came out of the story about me, I thought about what impression can I leave for them in the video I want to give them. What do I believe will be most relevant that they'll find valuable that they didn't know before? When I focus that thought, I'm too busy with that thought. I don't have room for the thoughts of how do I look and sound. Instead, I'm thinking about how am I going to tell them about you're only going to pay interest on the portion that you're using at any given time. They're going to want to know about that because it invites savings that you control. And isn't life a little bit better when you have the ability to control things like savings? So may I invite you to take a closer look at what home equity lines of credit can invite because of the invitations that live inside of them. You see how that was just a sentence or two? But how cool to know something. The video sharing allows you to share stories like that, that allows you and I to show up authentically as ourselves. And the more we can be that person with the camera, the more those that you want to listen to will fall in love with you. And what you love, wouldn't you suggest that the video is your filtering tool? If people don't connect to your filter, they probably don't connect to you. So good. I only get the 8 hours in the day I'm focusing on this moment. I want to speak to people that want to speak with me, and I'll want to speak with you. Shouldn't we start from I like you? Well, don't you love that the videos invite the I like you phone calls instead of the strangers and I want to see if I like you? So that's the work we do here. The calls that come in start off with I like you.
Yeah, they do. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, all the leads that come in for Vyral marketing is like I've seen Frank's stuff and I like what you guys do and I like you guys, so let's talk more. Scott, this has been super great. So the whole thing's been recorded. We're going to post it up on the website. Thank you so much. You're going to be my first legitimate interview with this pledge. It's something that we started off the new year with, where we have incentives in our office, and it's kind of the culture and the ethos of, I really, for the first 10 years of Vyral marketing, it's been, we got to get these clients results and ROI and make them money. And then I realized, I think I grew up and there's much more to the iceberg than that.
Oh.
And the depth of that iceberg is this.
Yes.
Because you can be making someone money and they don't answer these questions well. So I want to have this as well.
I've never seen that, Frank, and everything you have there is all of my experiences that I felt so comfortable in sharing this morning, because all of that is so well pronounced in sentences. You've done a terrific job, and your team are like coaches, and I don't know who on the team that doesn't share your spirit and outlook.
Thank you very much.
Not make-believe.
Thank you.
Very available, and it's felt in languaging. It's felt everywhere. Even when opportunity for editing, corrections, or whatever you want to give a title to, what I love is that the team shows up through a positive spirit. Nowhere in there are you left to feel other than fabulous. And that's the feeling that people will do more with than the ones that are, well, not inviting that. And may I please, that's happened in your team. Even when I found things in video moments, the team came together and we collaborated. Inside of the collaboration, we created a whole new idea we never even thought of. And how do you do that alone? It's the coach that inspires that, because they ask questions we don't organically self-create. And that's where opportunities are found, even though they were always there. I've learned it helps to have the outside folks show me sometimes. It might take me a bit to find it in the puzzle. But if you can show me what you found already, I'll get there quicker. Here, real quick, show me. I want to see. And that's what I've learned, that your team helps to show, so it's no longer such a puzzle. And well, you invited me to feel so confident in all of that. And I think that's why it works so dang well. So thank you. Thank you for inspiring your team to be coaches. They're fabulous at it. I mean, beyond. It really works.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. We'll go ahead and end the interview there and check out our website if you want to learn more. Thanks, Scott.